If we change our habits, thoughts, and actions, this is the only way, guys, that we're going to change our lives. Okay. And today's show is going to be all about diving in deeper into what all of this means. Okay. The thoughts, these are the things that create our habits. Our habits are the things that create our results. Okay. And it's what we do, it's the work, it's the activity, it's the actions that create all of the results in our life. Okay. But that comes back to, it all starts as a thought. Okay. And a lot of our lives right now, for most of us, okay, 99.9% is autopilot. Okay. In the morning, when you wake up, for example, you're listening to this right now, whether you're in your car or whether you're sat at home and you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening on your phone or whatever it might be, right? Think about how you woke up this morning. I imagine you walked yourself into the bathroom and one of the first things you did was you took a piss and then you went over and you cleaned your teeth, hopefully anyway. But this wasn't something that you had to really think about. Okay, this is something that has become habit, and the action that you took, that is now habit for you. You didn't really need to think about it. And now I want you to think about maybe when you drove to work this morning, do you remember much about the journey at all? Okay, because I remember, guys, so many times I would get to work and I'd be like, I don't even really remember any part of this journey. It would just be autopilot. I'd be getting in the car. And I remember, by the way, when I first started to learn to drive a car and I was looking down at the pedals and the driver instructor was telling me what each of them done and then the gear stick. And I was like, how on earth am I ever going to learn to drive this thing? There's so many things to think about. Thought, okay? And then the action that I've got to take, I've got to move myself into first gear. I've got to put the clutch in to do that. Oh my God, I make sure I don't push down the accelerator too early. I then got to find the biting point and then I've got to accelerate. Whereas now, when I get in the car, ask yourself this, guys, at the moment we're driving a manual car, yeah? I prefer when I had my last car was automatic because it made my life a lot easier. But every time I get in, I haven't got to think about any of this stuff. Whereas when I first learned to drive a car, it was like my brain was exhausted after an hour-long driving lesson. I'd need to take a nap. I'll be sweating. Yeah, I'll be like, I need to get in and have a shower, clean myself up because I stink. And then I need to have a nap because that was exhausting. Whereas now you could drive from here to the other side of the country and you wouldn't even really need to think about the actual action itself. The only thing that you might need to think about is the route you're taking. But nowadays with technology, your phone can do that for you, right? Or the app on your navigation system in the car can take care of everything. So you just need to follow the steps, right? So you haven't really got to even think. And ask yourself throughout the day, how much of your day are you really thinking, or is your subconscious mind ruling your world, controlling everything? Even when you get home from work, the first thing you do do you just sit on the sofa and then flip the TV on without even knowing what's going on? You sit there with a can of Coke or whatever, and then the TV comes on, and then you're in autopilot for the rest of the evening, right? You might order some food in, and this is something that you just do repeat. You go to work, get home, you do that, you turn the TV on, repeat, you go to bed a bit later than you should have done, then you wake up feeling a bit groggier than you wanted to, you wake up, maybe snooze your alarm a few times. It's this cycle of consistent autopilot, okay? Now, if you want to change your life, and now I know loads of people, the reason you're listening to this, by the way, is called the Be More podcast. You want your life, you want to be more. Okay, you want to have more, you want to do more with your life, you want to live more, you want to be better, okay, you want to improve, you want to grow, you're ambitious. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast otherwise, okay? This is not I'm not the person to listen to unless you've got drive, ambition, goals, okay? So you're listening to this for a reason, and you probably want to change your life. You probably want to have some growth, you want to have some improvement, okay? The only way you change your life is by changing your thoughts, habits, and actions. Thoughts, habits, actions. Thoughts, habits, actions. So how much of your day are you spent really actually thinking? And then when you think, how are you then taking them thoughts into a plan to create new habits in your life? Now, guys, this has really all started to happen for me. I've really started to think, because when you're a kid, guys, you're just like excited. We have an imagination when we're young. But you don't really have like a plan, unless it's just how we're brought up. Okay, guys, I was brought up amazing parents, by the way, all really looked after. I could never complain about anything, okay? But both my parents have been used to being and are still employees. So they had this employee mentality, okay? So they would, and by the way, didn't particularly love what they do, would love to complain about it, but would still have a solid work ethic, great work ethic in their job, was looking to do the best job they possibly could, wasn't lazy or anything like that. So that really has helped me, right? It's helped me massively in shaping and molding me to whatever I'm putting myself into, I apply like solid work ethic and I want to do the best I possibly can because I learned that from my parents. But at the same time, they would get in from work and then what I just told you about with the sofa, sit yourself down, TV on, next day, repeat. Weekend would be trying to enjoy as much as possible because Monday was around the corner, okay? And that's really began to program me into thinking that's how I was going to live my life. So for the first few years of me working, once I finished university, that's what it looked like. And I know that's what you're supposed to do when you're young for most people, yeah. My life was chaos, right? From when I finished, even through university, I would be studying during the week. I say studying, but really I was sat in the back of lecture theatres on like betting apps and escaping into a bet. Like I'll be betting on a tennis game in Russia. I didn't even know who the players were, but there'd be good odds. And I'd be like, right, if I put 50 quid on that, I might get 40 quid profit. I could then spend that at the weekend on a night out with my mates. This was how I was operating versus going into adding some value into some kind of job or whatever, or to an opportunity to make the money to then go and enjoy myself. I would try and cut a corner to do that, right? And this was because a few of my friends were doing the same. In life, guys, you're always going to become who you hang around, right? And this is my thoughts were, because I was around my pals who were having a good bet and a dabble on this, I'd start doing the same. But because I've got an obsessive mentality and a mindset that gets quite addicted, I then took it further than most of my friends. And that when I got my university grants and my loans, it became dangerous. I was betting way too much money. Like if you was to see my Betfair in and out for 3 years at university, you'd be like mind blown. I had a problem, massive problem, okay? But because of that, it was who I was listening to and hanging around, my thoughts created those habits and actions. Then things started to change, okay? I became a PT, and by the way, it didn't change then. I was working hard all week. Weekends were a nightmare. I was escaping into gambling, drink, drugs, all of it, all the vices, because I didn't have, there was a gap in my life. I was hurting a little bit from pain growing up. I had some trauma, it's particularly when my parents broke up, created trauma. Now, I only know this looking back, that I'm like, that was what I was running from. That was the vice, that was why I was running into the vices. And it's not my parents' fault. This happens, right? But because I didn't deal with it well, I then spent years escaping into these vices. Whereas if I'd have processed it better and had a different perspective of it, because looking in hindsight, it's been the best thing that could have happened for both of them. But because I didn't deal with it in the time, vices, that was what I went to. Versus dealing with it and processing it, I went to vices. I went to whatever I could escape into in the moment, whether it be, by the way, sometimes it was positive. I'd go for a big workout and that would be the thing that would be where I'd channel that negative energy and I'd feel better for it. But other times it wasn't that. It was drinking, it was drugs, it was steroids, it was gambling, it was porn, it was whatever I could escape into to take my mind off of whatever it was. And by the way, this wasn't even something I was aware of. I've only got to the point of awareness now because of the personal development that I've done on myself, the loads of work that I've done, the books that I've read, the experiences that I've had, the events that I've gone to, the investment in me to learn. That's why I was doing those things. Whereas in the moment, I didn't know, because we don't know what we don't know, right? It was just my thoughts, actions and habits were a reflection on my lack of awareness. Okay, and then I started to do work on myself. I came across podcasts, which is why I now have a podcast, because the podcasts that I listened to changed my life. Then I was like, I want to do one about how my life has changed and share that with whoever wants to listen, because it might be someone out there that listens like I listened back in the day to the podcast that I was listening to back then, that really started to reshape my identity. It started to help me with things that I'm sharing with you guys. It started to teach me loads of stuff. It introduced me to books that I could possibly read, or a new thought pattern that would create new habits and create new actions. Okay, so I started listening to these podcasts, and I started going to events, and I started going to different seminars and listening to different audiobooks and reading different books and starting to getting around different people. My thoughts started to change. My habits then was a reflection of those thoughts. And then my actions started to change, my daily activity plan, and then my results started to change. Okay, so I went from being someone who struggled with so many different vices to now somebody who most of my day is spent in purpose-driven activities, in focused on contribution, adding value, giving more, purpose-driven acts, goals, like everything that's got a reason behind it. And some people say, oh, Jack, why do you wake up so early? Or why do you read so many different books? Or why do you go to these events? Or why do you do that? Why do you do this? It all comes from the thought. It all starts from the thought. And the 5 a.m. club is one of them, yeah? Those people are like, I don't get it. Why do you get up so early and do them things? And it's because in my mind, I was like, this stemmed maybe 6 years ago. Okay, when I really started to get into self-improvement, I read a book called The 5 a.m. Club, and it introduced an idea to me that if this was all that you did, that you woke up a little bit earlier and then you spent time for yourself, you journaled out some things, you spent time in gratitude, you spent time writing down your goals, where you want to get to, and then doing some personal development, and then having a workout and really working on developing the best you in the morning, so then you could give the best you to the rest of your day. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a great idea. I'll do that. And then because I've got an addictive personality, that became where I poured all my energy into, and became my new identity. I'm someone who gets up early and works on me so I can give my best to the world, give my best to my family, give my best to my business, give my best to my team, give my best to my clients. And that then started to become something that I became really passionate about. And then I felt the growth in the journey. The first few weeks, I was like, this is good. My mental health starting to feel better. Like, I'm starting to enjoy this process. I'm getting a lot from it. A month went by, 6 months went by, a year went by, and I would be like, oh, I've read so many books. My mind's starting to transform. How I perceive challenges is changing. How I manage stress is way better. Everything started to change because of my thoughts, and my habits started to change. And now my life is beyond compare to how it was years and years ago, when I was the guy listening to the podcast hoping for an answer, because my life was a bit chaotic. It was a bit of a mess. If you was an outsider, by the way, looking in, you wouldn't know this, because I was putting on a brave face. No one knew that I was having big trouble, right? And challenges. I didn't even really know, because you don't know what you don't know. I was just kind of going through life in this hypnotic rhythm of just repeat, work, eat, sleep, get pissed at weekend, repeat. I'd add in some workouts, whatever, so it was covering up. I was like, I'm doing okay because of that. But in reality, I wasn't really moving my life forward. I wasn't really delivering on my purpose. And I know there's so many people out there right now that are stuck in jobs that they don't really like that much, but it brings in a bit of coin. It pays for their weekend. It pays for them to have a nice house or whatever, and they can travel once or twice a year. But in reality, work is like most of your life. You'll spend a big chunk of your life working. To not do it something that you love or something that you enjoy in those times. Now, don't get me wrong, there's not every part of my business where I'm like, oh, I love to do this. I love this activity. There's bits that suck. There's bits that I don't enjoy. But in the bigger picture, it's part of the game. And if it was all fun and all like love, all that, it wouldn't actually be that great. There's got to be two sides to every coin. There's polarity, right? There's good and there's bad. And it comes together and creates something magical, beautiful, okay? Which is why I love what I do, right? And I love the mission that I'm on. And the reason why I'm sharing all of this, because I want to try and get you guys thinking, because it's the thoughts that really plant the flag in the sand and go, now, we want you to live congruently with those thoughts. So if one of your thoughts and goals is, I want to become successful, I want to help other people, whatever it is, I want to buy a house, or I want £100,000 in the bank, or I want to earn 6 figures, or I want to earn 20 grand a month, or I want to be a better dad, I want to be a bit more present, I want to be there for whatever it is, right? If you then start living incongruently with that thought, you're going to start having anxiety, trouble in the mind. Okay, whereas if you live congruently with this thought, that's where happiness comes. That's where you feel like you're on purpose. That's where you feel purpose-driven and happy in the pursuit of becoming of this thought. Okay, so this is why it's so important, like, to start to rewrite your story. If your life was a book, would you read it? Okay, if not, you can start a new page at any time, a new fresh chapter. We move house next week. I'm excited. It's a new chapter. Okay, I'm going to look back on this chapter with fond memories. Okay, it's just a new chapter in my life, a new chapter in me and Robin's life, new baby on the way, becoming a dad. Like, it's a new chapter. I'm really excited for it, right? And I can write the book. I can write that chapter. I can make it clear. I can take out all the fuzz. I can predict the future because I'm the architect. Okay, if you want to show me your calendar and I'll show you your future. In that calendar, if there's no time for personal growth, if you're not going to any events and getting around better people, like, if that's not in your calendar, how can you expect a different result from what you're currently getting? Okay, who are you hanging around? Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, right? Show me your calendar, I'll show you your future. Where are you investing right now? What books are you reading? Who are you listening to? This is going to be what dictates your next 12 months. Okay, what are your actions? What are your thoughts? What are your habits? Now, this is where this all is going to come together, okay? We want to this is all to become, not to acquire, okay? I know we were speaking about to get 100 grand a year or whatever it might be, yeah? The thoughts, habits, and actions are not for that. The thoughts, habits, and actions are to become the best version of you, to become better, to become the person you're destined to be, your best future you. That's what it's about. The value is in that, not in the new shiny car, not in the money in the bank, not in the external thing. It's in the internal. Like, who are you going to become in the pursuit of these things? This is what it's all about. Okay, so really allow yourself to have some time after listening to this, watching this, whatever you're doing. And by the way, if you're enjoying this, please share. Like, please share some love. Give me a thumbs up, or wherever you're listening to this. Share something positive, maybe share a comment if you're on YouTube or whatever. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I want to really help deliver these types of messages to more people. And by the way, one of the reasons now behind me and my journey of personal growth, the biggest reason why, like, when you can figure out why, the how really becomes easy, is this. I want to keep getting better and getting better at communicating so I can deliver a message that someone could listen to that could really be a catalyst in creating change. Because in life, nothing changes if nothing changes, okay? I want to be able to communicate in a way that gets someone to make a change, to create a new result in their life, the result that they want, okay? Because this is the information that I was seeking all those years ago, and still am, by the way. I'm still seeking the answers so I can deliver them into my own thoughts, habits, and actions, and help you guys with them too, okay? So hopefully you've got some value. Remember, all of this is to become, not to acquire. So keep doing the work on you for the people that are around you, and spend some time for the next 30 seconds thinking about who's counting on you, okay? Who needs you to step up? Who needs to see more from you? Who's relying on you to make changes? You can break these generational curses, guys, by hearing this type of information, changing the way you think, addressing your habits and your actions, and making different moves. Okay, and you can change generational curses and create a new line, a new lineage of thinking differently, different habits, different actions, an entrepreneurial mindset, whatever it might be, purpose-driven, contribution, impact, whatever it is, right? So hopefully you've got some value from this, guys. My plan as we move into the new place is to really do more when it comes to this, because do you know what? I love it. I really enjoy doing this type of thing. And by the way, at the beginning, I didn't. It was something that was uncomfortable. It was something that I just had to do. Okay, whereas now I really enjoy doing this and really recording the growth that I've had, and I want to look back on this in 10 years and be like, wow, that guy knew nothing, because it's constant. There's never ending. It's constant and never ending improvement. It's called Can I, right? I'm sure that's from the book Tony Robbins, right? So good. So hopefully you guys got some value from this. Please leave a comment, review, and know that I'm going to do my best, especially when we get into our new house, create a new setup, to be able to record more frequently, to add more value, and to try and help you in your life as much as I possibly can to become more. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next show.